Today, the talk will focus on electronic laboratory notebooks. And I'm very happy to introduce my two HeFDI colleagues as speakers today, Dr. Björn Trebels from the Technische Hochschule Mittelhessen and Hüseyin Uzun from the University Library of the Goethe-Universität Frankfurt. Dr. Björn Trebels is a consultant for research data management at the THM. He has a background in biological research, where he also gained hands-on experience with electronic lab notebooks and lab notebooks of the older kind. And Hüseyin Uzun is a studied chemist. After several positions in quality assurance at Icon and Merck, he returned to research where he has worked in physical chemistry. He joined the HeFDI community mid-2022. In the ELN project, he is working on the introduction of electronic notebooks at Hessian universities and supports researchers in the implementation and use of ELNs. With no further ado, we are very much looking forward to your input. And Björn, the floor is yours.
So Maria, thank you for the very nice introduction. And as already said, today's topic is electronic laboratory notebooks, and especially the one of eLabFTW. First, when we think about lab work, it's very essential, and it already was for quite some time very essential to do a documentation, so that we have a complete record of the procedures and actions, reagents we use, observations we make, and so on. That all this is written down. So, but when we now look at those older style laboratory notebooks, they have some culprits, like they often are unclear or difficult to read. Normally, we don't have any table of contents, so we have really to scan through to find things. And with that, we have very limited search options. That gets even more true when we have more than one laboratory notebook, because one was full. And then we have, but which of them now is the experiment I search? And while technology changed quite a bit in this time from Alexander Graham Bell in the 19th century to now, the documentation in the laboratory is more or less done the same way, pen and paper. So, and there is no change. So the question is why we should use an ELN. Of course, the first thing we see is it's digital, so we can we have a much better readability. We can use templates for experiments. That makes structuring the experiment much more easy. We have a search function. We can collaborate together because we can share experiments on a digital basis. We have an integration with laboratory machines and protocols through APIs. And which gets more and more important is we have a proof of evidence with audit trails, so we can see when which thing was entered into the laboratory notebook. And we then see, when we talk about eLabFTW, what's the thing why we should use eLabFTW? Well, it's a very generic electronic laboratory notebook, so it has a broad usability. Basically, everything we can do in a pen and paper notebook, we can also do in eLabFTW. So that's a good thing to start with. It's an open source system which allows community, which says it will never be behind the paywall, so we can use it like forever until when we want it. And we can all contribute to it. When there's a function missing, we can suggest new functions, and we all see the code, can host it ourselves, even in a closed system and network. So we have a sovereignty of data. It's a browser-based system, so we don't need a client software. Thus, we have a more or less mobile access. We can use a handheld device to edit our notebooks and so on. And that's even true for the designs, because this is very responsive and adapts to nearly all screen sizes. So it's a good starting point, broad usability, ELN. And when we look at the key features we have, besides this more or less pen and paper style editor, we have trusted timestamping, which is also compliant to the European EIDAS. So it's can be used also for digital identification, who has done something and so on. So already said, we have an API. We can integrate it with single service sign-ons. So it can be integrated into company or university identity management systems. Already said, there are templates for experiments. We have you can have a database of resources like products or protocols we use in the lab. We can export the data in various formats, including zip files, PDF, CSV, or JSON. We can also generate QR codes, which we then can print and, for example, put on our reaction tubes to identify things that are as a resource in the database. We have a molecule editor, to-do list, even text rendering is possible in the editor. And it's now available in 17 languages, with more to come, and of course it's very customizable. All those things will be presented afterwards by my colleague Hüseyin Usun in a live demonstration, or most of those things. Right, let's first take a look at eLabFTW a bit more. Basically, we have a data model in the software which defines experiments on the one hand and resources on the other hand. So researchers can be linked with experiments, resources can be linked with each other, also experiments. And while experiments will be straightforward what they are, resources might be a laboratory inventory that is bookable, protocols, as said, chemicals, but even samples and so on. Both of them can have file attachments, can be categorized with tags, and both have a common function. Let's talk now quite often about this pen and paper functionality. And basically, it's an what you see is what you get editor, like where we can type in our data and notes like in any other text processor, like Word, Pages, OpenOffice, and so on. And another function besides the experiments and the resources is the team calendar, which can be used for resource booking in the lab. So when we enter a research in the database, that can be tagged as bookable, and then we can here book the experiment for a specific experimental resource, and also see when the things are done with that. Last thing before we start into the live presentation would be the API, which is quite well documented. We have a Python library to use it, and there's also a command line tool to use the API directly, and which can be integrated into other software. And for all those who will now want to look further into it and learn more about it, bring it into their labs. Nikolai Kizin produced quite a lot tutorial videos introducing eLabFTW and is also doing update and new feature videos every time such a thing is added to eLabFTW. With that, I think it's time to switch to the live demonstration of eLabFTW, because that is the most advanced thing and a good thing to demonstrate what the software can do.
Okay, then I take the stage. First of all, thanks, Maria, for the great introduction. And of course, Björn for the general part. And now I will take over the presentation and share with you my screen. There it is. Okay. And now you all can already see eLabFTW. When you log in eLabFTW, you will be on this page. It's the dashboard. Here you have an overview. And let's talk a little bit about the login. In eLabFTW, you can log in with a local account, which is not that recommended. It's even better that your institute connects this identity management to eLabFTW, so you can use your university or institute accounts. After logging in, as I said, we are on the dashboard. Here we have an overview. We can see our experiments, the last modified ones, and the resources. In the experiments, it's just a simple labbook entry. The resources can be something like chemicals or devices, but I will show you later how this could look like. There's also another thing that you can here see. These are the booked items. As you can see, I don't have anything booked now. You also can see the different categories that your team has. So you can filter your entries by categories, but this I will show you later too. Okay, the most interesting part now is to create a labbook entry. And this is what Björn told. We have the paper-based labbook entries, and now our goal is to move them to an electronic one. Here on the experiments page, we can just click create, and we will immediately create a new labbook entry. We can even click on this arrow, and here choose between existing templates. I will later show you the templates. For now, I just click here on create. And as I said, immediately a new labbook entry will be created. The first thing you see here is started on. By default, it's the date which we have now, so the 17th of November. But it would make sense to choose a date which is maybe in the past or in the future, like if you have done an experiment and want to note it down, or if you plan an experiment. What we always do is give it a title. Let's call it HeFDI Data Talk, or just talk. And yeah, that's it. We can rate this labbook entry, or we can just leave it by this. The interesting part now is we can give our labbook entry a category, like categorize your labbook entries. For example, if this labbook entry is now a chemical analysis, you can just choose it, then it's categorized. You can even give them a status, which is maybe running or need to be done or something else. These stuff, category and status, can be modified by the group admin. In eLabFTW, we have users which cannot do this, but we have admins which can configure stuff for a team. And of course, we have sysadmins, which configures the whole system. Okay, let's move on. Here we have tags. We can just give this labbook entry a tag. For example, Yeah, as I said, HeFDI is a good tag. And we can also use the suggested tags. Here would be even more tags suggested, but in this team, there are only these two. So you can even just click them and add them here too. Okay, now the most innovative part is here, the visibility and the can write. You can give people the right to see your labbook entry. You have your default permissions, which can be done. You can see all the teams on your eLabFTW platform and share this entry with one of the teams by just clicking on them. In eLabFTW, we have the platform, we have teams, and we have under this the team groups, which can be a group of a few people who work together. We can even give them the right to see this labbook entry. Another thing that we can do is now search for a person who are on your labbook, on your eLabFTW platform, and even give this person the right to see it. And we click on save. And as you can see now, everyone can see this labbook entry, which has this group only owner, it's me, the admins, all the people from this group, from this team, all the people from this group, and this person, which is also me. You can do this for visibility, and the same you can do for writing. It makes sense to differentiate there. Great. Then let's move on to the next part. It's the body of eLabFTW. This is really the empty page. Like you can write down here anything you want. You have stuff like heading 1 and so on. You can write down something in bold, italic, or underlined. You can even add a table here. For example, let's put the table here. I just click on table. Then this here, this is pretty known from Word 2. And there is this, you have a table. This table is only for, it's only structure. You can't calculate stuff there like you do in Excel. But if you want to, you do it in Excel and then copy paste it here in this table, and it works. You can do more stuff here, like let's go on here, this part. You can use special characters. It's always useful. You can put here a simple timestamp, which is not an official timestamp, but it is really just the time which we have now. This is useful when you start an experiment or end an experiment. You want to have the time so you know when you started it or when you ended it. You can add link here, put the URL in it, and fill out the rest, and the link will be added. Okay, great. Then let's move on to the next part. In eLabFTW, you can individualize your labbook by adding fields. I click here on Add Field. Here now I can choose which special or extra field I want. For example, radio buttons. I have to name it. The name is really important. I name it, I give it name test name. The description will be, of course, in this case, test description. And the choices with the radio buttons are yes and no. And maybe another one, and it's maybe. Okay, then I save it. And here you can see it. It's the test name, it's a test description, and you can choose between the radio buttons. You can, of course, add more stuff. Just check it out by yourself. If you want to individualize your labbook entry, this is the place to do it. Okay, then the next part, steps. In steps, it makes sense that you plan experiment. You can just define your steps. For example, join HeFDI Data Talk at this step, and then talk to people And the next step will be show eLabFTW live demo. Okay, so that's it. And the first part, I'm done with it, so I can check it out. So you can define steps for your lab too and check them out. Okay, then let's move to experiments, to linked experiments. You can here link other experiments to this labbook entry, which makes sense. If you have an experiment and it's correlated to another one, just search for it. I just click on E and see what will be shown to me. I just link this one and edit. Okay. The same you can do for database. For example, you work with a chemical here, and you search for this chemical. Let's take this one, and it's added. So these are linked, so you the accessibility will be even better when you search for it. Okay, great. Let's move on to attached files. If you are done an experiment or you have results like a picture, you can just add this here by drag and drop or just by clicking on it. This window opens and then you edit. eLabFTW recognize a few files, not all of them, but you can add anything you want. And the workflow could be like you edit here, you go somewhere else, and then download it from eLabFTW. So everything is always at the right place. Right. Then Björn told about the molecule editor, and this is also integrated. Here's just a simple molecule editor. You can draw molecules here, just click on them and it's drawn. And yeah, that's all. You can check this out by yourself or use another drawing tool and just add the pictures. Great, then let's click on save. eLabFTW saves from time to time itself, but saving is always a good option. Let's click on save and go back. We left now the editing mode and we are now in the viewing mode. Here you can see what you have done so far and also leave a comment. Here you can change the category of this labbook entry. Let's change it to R&D, research and development, and click on save. And let's change it to the status even to need to be redone. Okay, now we have changed both. And what is important here too is you can click on the three dots here and you can see revisions. See if there are revisions of this labbook entry. Of course, I created this one new, there is none. But when I show you another labbook entry, I click on the three dots, click on see revisions. Here you can see all the revisions that are available. I mean, here is nothing sensible, but here you can check out the revisions. What you can even do here is see the change log. You can see what, who did what, when, where, and yeah, what happened exactly. And this is really useful. You can here, like Björn told, timestamp it. When you timestamp this one, require goes, for example, to the DFN, and it will be timestamped and evidence safe. You can even add this to blockchain if you want. Okay, oops, great. Then we go back to experiments. And as you can see, here's our HeFDI Data Talk experiment. And the next step is talk to people. Okay, then let's move on to resources. In resources, I can even create a new resource or I can use the existing ones. It's exactly the same like in experiments. If I click on a resource, it looks really like a labbook entry. You can exactly do the same, but it's like a database. So you can have here stuff that are not a labbook entry, are a device or a chemical. And the interesting part here now is if we move from resources to team, okay, we would have here bookable items. You see no bookable items. This is because I don't define these items as bookable. But I will show you how this could look like. Therefore, I change the team. I go to another team where we have bookable items. And as I said, I move from resources to team. Now here in this team, I have this bookable item, which is a table. I choose this table, then I go here in this scheduler, and I book a time period. For example, this one, test, or I call it HeFDI Data Talk. Okay, then I click on OK. Then it's booked. I can click here again, and this window appears. Here I can modify the start and end time of this booking. I can link an experiment. I can link a resource like another item in the database, or I can just cancel it. Yeah, and the great thing here is now, if we just go back, we would see all the bookings in our team and then see, okay, which device is booked when from who. So this would help you manage your team. And yeah, that's a great function, I guess. Great. Then I showed you how to create a labbook entry. Resources are similar to labbook entries, and I showed you the team. The next thing is, let's move to the user panel. There you can do a little bit more, like language. You can change the language. For this presentation, I chose English, but there are many other languages. Not all of them are 100% implemented now, but I think you will find the one that fits you well. Here you have a little bit more functions that you can, like the items per page, can choose. But we go now to an interesting part. It's miscellaneous. And here it says, show experiments from the team on the experiments page. As you can remember, or let's just go back there, here are only experiments which belong to me. Now, if I go to the user panel and say, show me experiments from colleagues, and go back to experiments page, there you see many other labbook entries from people and even their name. For data safety issues, I will skip this part very fast. But yeah, you will see experiments of your colleagues too. And here you can also do other settings, like I showed you how to individually make the visibility rights and the rights for permission for labbook entry. Here you can make the default settings. Like when you create a new labbook entry, by default, it would be always this setting. It would make sense to have something like this, but I think it's more convenient to check out the parameters here individually for every single labbook entry. Great. Then let's go back to the user panel. Here now we come to another interesting part, which is templates. Here you can create templates and pin them on your page. As you can see, this OC practicum have this pin. So this means that it's visible here on this page when so I can choose it from here. And the other ones, which doesn't have this pin, are not visible there, which makes sense. You don't want all your templates visible on this page. Yeah, you can just create one here and then use them. What else you can do is, I mean, we are now on the user panel, so the templates which belong to you. You can check out the templates on the team side, I mean, from your colleagues. So let's go to team, to templates, and here are all the templates from your colleagues. As I can see, these are really many and not intended, but yeah, I guess it's fine. Here you could even pin the templates from your colleagues too on this part where I showed you, on this little arrow here, then they would appear here too. So this would make sense because sometimes a colleague of you have a template which you want to use too, then you just pin it and that's all. Great. Then Another interesting part is, I mean, most of the people will be users, but the admin panel is also interesting because there you can do also many stuff. Like I moved there now to the admin panel, and here we can leave an announcement, maybe like this one. I mean, this is called test platform. You can leave an announcement for your team too. This is a setting which is really important. User can delete experiments which is deactivated, and it should stay deactivated because deleting an experiment is not that, not in the sense of the FAIR principles. So just leave it deactivated is my recommendation, but you have to check what works for yourself. Another thing is user can delete items. This means resource items like in the database. In this team, it's activated because only my 2 accounts are in this team, but I have deactivated that in the other teams too. But yeah, check out what works for you. Then tags. I mean, I showed you that you can create tags. You can deny creating tags. If you do this, then you just go to the tag manager. You create all the tags that your people has to use, and then they are forced to use the tags and cannot create any new. Great. Here in the admin panel, you can do more stuff, but let's move on to the next part, to group. Here you can define groups and add people like I showed you. In eLabFTW, you have the whole eLabFTW platform, you have teams, and you can here define now groups, maybe a few people who work on an experiment or a project together. But it's more for organizing your stuff. Then let's go on to this categories part. Okay, here the categories I want to see are not visible. So let me change the team again, because I want to show you the categories, the new ones which I have created. And here you can, as an admin, define the categories. As you can see, chemical analysis, R&D, and so on. I have already created them and give them a color. And yeah, here you can add more. You can even delete them. This is for experiment categories, and this is for resource categories. These you can also create and add more. Good, then let's move on to status. For experiments, I have these status. I think, I guess they are also by default, but you can delete them and add or create new ones. We also have status for resources. When I created these, I thought about the device. For example, when a device is available or it's under maintenance. But here you are not limited. The only limit is your fantasy. So do whatever you think it's reasonable. Great. Then this is so far in the admin panel. And there's another thing I want to show you. You can click on export and export stuff from the database, which is called actually resources. I guess here should be written resource items, but yeah, it means the resources. This one means really experiments. Here you can search for people and export their stuff. You have different options in which file format you want to export. Yeah, and I think that's it from the admin panel. At the end, I want to show you the search function too. When I click on search and open the search helper, here I can just search for stuff. I mean, if your labbook and if your database is really big and you don't know where your labbook entry is, you can just put in here some, put in what you want to search for. For example, I search for myself and then launch search. And then you see the results. You see the author with this name has these experiments. And then you can look for it or define more search parameters. And another interesting thing is, if there's only one labbook entry, then you will be automatically redirected to this one entry. But if there are more, then you will see them here. Great, then let's go back to experiments. Yeah, I showed you how to create an experiment. Resources similar. I showed you the team and about templates. And yeah, the steps, the search function, the panels, the user panel, and the admin panel. I think I am done this so far. Yeah, then thanks for your attention, and yeah,